Hello. Today, I have a special episode of Weird Little Guys in that it's not going to be just a guy, it's going to be a thing instead. I do have my mic here on my beard, but I am going to have to remove it because it's causing me pain. Uh, just put it right. Yeah. Huh, okay. I'm sure that was an auditory experience for you all. So, um, yesterday I showed off the can of beans that I was going to use just because it's about the right size and shape, and it's also metal, so it's strong and sturdy. But so I've got this brass strip. This one is already bent around the can, like so. Right? Wow, wow. Because I want it to be circular, as best as it can be, or like half circle, a little more than half. So I have more of these here. You can see they're all kind of grimy and they have a little bit of iridescence to them. That's because I've already gone ahead and annealed these ones, which is just heating up the brass because brass is a compound, or what would you call that? An alloy of copper. You can anneal it. I'm sure you could probably anneal other stuff, but I just know that you can anneal copper and you can anneal brass because it's part copper. But you basically just heat it up until it's red hot, and then let it cool or you dunk it in some water. It doesn't actually matter how fast it cools. It won't affect the outcome. But I think if I'm correct, I was. I staved one that I didn't do, and I've got this big glass of water right here. Um, so I will try to lean my camera down a little bit. It gets kind of unhappy with me, in all honesty, when I do this because it's so heavy, my phone. Alright, so obviously don't want to hold this with my hands on account of the burning because the heat will travel up this. So I'm just going to get some handy dandy pliers. Uh, this stuff changes, this stuff glows red at I think like 700 degrees. I could be wrong. But I've just got my little butane torch. You got to do butane or similar. You can't just do open flame because it's not hot enough. But all I'm going to do is it's going to take a while. I used my gas stove to do the other ones. I'm just going to go back and forth on here. It's going to take a while. It will start to smell. Part of that's because most of the time when you buy pieces of metal, they come with a thin sheet of oil on them just to help preserve them so they don't rust. But you will start to see the color change on this. I don't know how well this will pick up on camera, but I can see the color beginning to change. It's not becoming red yet, it's just kind of blooming, I guess you could say, like in the way that chocolate blooms. This is probably going to take a minute. Uh, Obviously, very hot. My hand's starting to cramp a little bit. Moving the light over. Oops. A little bit of the gas came out the side of this, flared up. Not supposed to be on for this long. Probably just about good enough, and then luckily copper, and by extension brass, is a really good heat conductor. So it's safe to touch as soon as it comes out of the soup. So there you go, annealed brass. Now the reason that you want to anneal the brass in the first place, probably shouldn't have done that, but I didn't want it to melt anything on my desk. But the reason to do it in the first place is because when the brass or copper sheets are formed, they're formed mostly cold, or they're formed hot initially, and then they're cooled off over time. And then, but they keep getting worked and worked and worked, and then they become something called work hardened, where they become more brittle, and then like it's good because it gives them sort of a springy strength, which is good if you want it for like a structural thing, or if you want it for something straight. But if you want to bend it and then have it retain that bent shape, it's kind of a pain because it doesn't really want to bend. But you see, annealed, it bends super easy, super quick, no hassle, keeps its little shape. And because I'm not using it for anything kind of structural at all, well, I guess I'm using it for something structural, but it's only going to have to hold like, an eighth of a pound at most. Um, it doesn't really matter how strong it is. But these are just quickly bending these to shape. Really is so much nicer to work with once you've done that. Now this one, I fear may not have gotten hot enough. Bending all right. I can tell that it wasn't quite hot enough all the way through. That's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. So, you can see it's got a little bit of a kink in it right here. That's just because it didn't heat up right, so I gotta apply a little bit more direct force to it. So I don't want just the end to be like tight. So do that, and then I'll come back here. I'll kind of rebend it a little bit. That's not working awesome. So I'll just come back in. Ugh. Here we go. I put this in the water, and that was a mistake. So I had to get the water out. I'm just going to come back to the troublesome segment here. Heat it back out. It's good information to learn. I hadn't ever used this on anything this thick before. I can see now why that wouldn't have worked very well. So, bigger heat source is needed. But we'll see if it'll bend a little bit nicer now. Not super, but that's okay. I'll try to use just like the very end of the can where it is the thickest and thus like the strongest. Kind of even out the shape a little bit. Pressing it hard. Alright, you know what? It's good enough. It's a little wonky. That's okay. We'll survive. So, alright. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I got 6 of these bad boys. I'm not entirely sure how many I'm going to use yet. I'm going to try to tilt my phone all the way down so you can get the overhead view again. Okay, cool. It didn't collapse on itself this time. That's nice. But so I've got this piece of balsa wood right here. I'll move this down a little bit. There you go. So all I'm gonna do for this, and this is kind of weird. Like I explained last time, balsa wood has a really soft. It tears very easily, or it splits very easily, I should say. So I'm just trying to sort of do like this. So I want there to be a strong, solid base here. So like this. It's pretty good. So we've got it like that. That's pretty cool. It's working pretty well. I'm gonna need to apply a bunch of glue, and it may not work because it doesn't. Nothing really likes to stick to metal. That's okay. we will figure that out. So I want to keep these in the right order. Sure this is nice and dry. And then just apply a shit ton of super glue. So, this you guys probably want to see. Okay. Now I gotta do that fun thing where you gotta be really careful not to just stick your hand directly into the super glue. Fuck up your whole day.